Welcome. Happy Friday to you. So it's fairly cheap and easy to judge other people. And then turns out it's actually fairly cheap and easy to judge yourself. So we could just say judgment is fairly cheap and easy. Totally useless. Misses the mark entirely. But what it masquerades as or dances around is something that actually is very useful and something that is virtually unknown. Maybe you're curious what that is. Honesty. Now, honesty is not, you see what I mean? That the judgment masquerades as honesty. You say, I don't know about elsewhere, but in the United States, we have these funny passive aggressive sorts of ways of speaking. We say, like we apologize. I'm sorry to have to be so honest. See, that's not honesty. If you have to preface it that way, it's not honesty. Honesty is profoundly important. I would say it's it is the only thing that is available to the common person like me, somebody without extraordinary powers, somebody without extraordinary virtue or goodness or willpower or fortune or any of those sorts of things, but just an ordinary person. We can't really make use of all those things that require all the extraordinary powers. But what we have access to, and it seems to be really the only thing we have access to that's of true value, is this honesty. So this honesty that I'm talking about is I'll use the word, it's one of my favorite words, you know what it is already, radical. It's a radical honesty because it emerges from the root. It emerges from the base, the foundation. It is so primal and so real and so innocent that we can't, you can't distort it at that level. Of course, we quickly distort it at other levels as soon as we start thinking about it. But at the level of that truth itself, we can't distort it because there it is. It's just shining forth and it's free. This is important. I've already said it in other words, but I'll say it again in a different way. It's free of judgment. And so you can see that all the judgment, you think back or imagine really more, imagine what it must be like to be a newborn infant. I mean, you were one once, but maybe hard to remember, but you can imagine you don't know anything. You don't know anything. You don't really don't know anything. You don't have any reference to compare anything to. And so all of these notions of judgment, they can't possibly arise in you as this newborn infant. There's just doesn't not even a possibility. Can't judge without some reference, some sense of what should be. You have no prior experience that you can refer to, so there's no way to have that judgment. Well, that's actually available to us now, and that's the level at which we have access to this truth. So now that sounds probably really good. I mean, hopefully that sounds really good. I mean, what am I saying? I'm saying it's something that's available to you. It's available to me. It doesn't require any extraordinary powers. It's the one valuable thing. Well, let me say give more good news about it. When I say it's valuable, what I'm actually saying, what does that mean to be valuable? I'm talking about something that has true value, it has intrinsic value, not relative value, not value for the person, not value culturally, not value in time, but intrinsic value. Now, what would that be? Well, you can look at what it's not. So most of the things that we think have value, like being right, and if you don't think that you value that, I mean, come on, we all value that. Because the second somebody challenges us, if we say, this is what I think is right, and then somebody says, I think you're a moron, we would take offense because we think it's valuable to be right. I'm putting myself, I'm in the same boat with you. So I'm not pointing a finger and saying, shame on you. I'm just describing the condition. So we place value, false value, entirely fraudulent value on things like being right, money. And money's total fabrication. You say, well, not if it had gold backing. No, then still it's fabricated because it's contrived. We're saying that the particular metal has value. You see, so it's all relative. It's relative to something else. It's relative to what doesn't have value. It's relative to, what's more or less abundant. It's all relative, and it's all in time, because it all fades. All of those kinds of things fade. You see, they come and go. You're right today, seems to matter today, but what about 5 years from now? What about 10 years from now? What about when you're dead? You see, that's like the great equalizer. Not a single thing matters when you're dead. None of the things that mattered to this person could matter to you when you're dead, because this person's gone. And this person's gone. I mean, come on. The person's so gone. The person never even arrived. This person's still forming, and it will never form. So where the basis of everything that we place value on is that we've been taught to place value, where we've been told this is valuable, it's all false. It's all based on time, relative notions, based on a person who's not even really here, and who's definitely not going to be around forever. Blink of an eye, really. So what is it that could be of true value? Well, so now maybe we can consider this possibility. What is it that's not relative? Doesn't there have to be something that's not relative? If everything's relative, how could anything be observed? If everything's relative, then there would be no way to be able to monitor change. In regard to the question, relative means that so it's in contrast with absolute. So absolute means just is. Relative means is given a certain context. So like like foreign currency exchange, right? You say, well, what's the dollar worth? How many rupees can I get for $1? It's relative. So it's relative, but what that isn't, if everything is relative, I mean, just consider this. Like if you are relative, then there's no constant. How do you know, how do you monitor any change? How are you aware of anything? So the person is constantly changing, but you're aware of the person. Thoughts are changing, you're aware of the thoughts. Feelings are changing, you're aware of the feelings. Now, if you are, we say, oh, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry, I'm up, I'm down, I'm lonely. And you might say, oh, but we don't really mean that. That's just a way of speaking. But just notice this for a second. Now, if you're really happy, then when the happiness ends, you end. Now you say, well, now I'm sad. Well, wait a second, I thought you were happy. Yeah, but I'm not happy anymore. Well, then who are you? Well, now I'm sad. No, that doesn't make any sense. You see, if you were happy, then when happiness is gone, you're gone. If you say I was happy, but now I'm sad, that makes no sense at all, because who is it that's, see, happiness can't be sad. I was happy, now I'm sad. No, it doesn't make any sense. I was aware of happiness, now I'm aware of sadness. And you say, though, that's just a semantics argument that's taking place here. No, I'm saying, I'm pointing out something very significant, actually, that you, as you actually know yourself in the very ordinary sense, not in some extraordinary way, but in the very, very, very ordinary way, in some way that's so ordinary that you overlook it, you know that you are not changing. You are what is changeless. Everything else is changing and you're aware of it. You're monitoring that change. You're aware of the change. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to modify your use of language so that you now speak in, like drop personal pronouns and never say I am, get rid of the verb to be. I'm not saying that. That would be contrived. But what I am pointing out is that I have no idea. Somebody says they can barely hear me. But in any case, there's probably nothing I can do about it. So we want to look now to see that all of the things that we place value on, those are all relative, and they're all for these relative notions, and they're all to gain relative things. You see, you say, I'm sad, I want to be happy. Happiness is more valuable than sadness, so we say. Sadness isn't valuable at all. I got to get rid of that. exchange that, pawn that off on some sap so I can get their happiness. By the way, did you ever think about that? You're so eager to get rid of something. Where does it go? It's just exporting it somewhere else. I'm pointing this out because we can actually become aware of this. So I'm having a little bit of fun. I know you're probably not having any fun, but I'm having a little bit of fun. And you can just, you can look to see what's being pointed to. Because as I often point out, if you're just thinking about it, you're wasting your time. Sincerely, I mean that. If you're thinking about it, you're completely wasting your time. If you're comparing this to what you already believe you know, which is what thinking is. It's a total waste of time because you see what's happening there. It's all relative. Compare this to something else. Do I agree with this? Do I disagree with this? Is this what somebody else said? Is this what Alan Watts said? I think maybe Alan Watts said this. Let me see. I'll go back and look. But it's a total waste of time. Instead, what's possible, and this is what I'm pointing to, has true value is what's honest, and what's honest has nothing at all whatsoever to do with the relative. It has nothing whatsoever to do with any of the things that we think about. It's entirely in a different dimension, so to speak. So we have to learn how to see in this way. Now, it is a learning process. At first, like learning anything, you won't have skill at it. So here's the beauty of it, is that as you are learning, which is what's happening, as you're learning, everything that happens is part of that learning. And everything that happens is immensely valuable. Here's a clue, because it's something truthful as part of that learning process. So this honesty, this truth is feeding something new, not something old, not something relative, not something that's already been understood, not something that you can build upon, but actually it's something completely fresh. So everything that happens in the process of learning, and here it really is just, it is just a mindset, so to speak, is to understand that it's not about and you've heard this before, I'm sure, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's not about the goal, it's about this moment right now. It's not about attaining something, it's about this present honesty, this present opportunity, which is immensely rich, contains the totality exploding into expression in your direct experience. You just aren't seeing it until you do. So what happens now, see this. So something's happening for you. You're having some thoughts. You're having some sensations. You have opinions about that. I like it. I don't like it. This is good. It's not good. I wish I hadn't tuned in. Can I leave now? You know, whatever it is, these things are happening. Now, most of the time, all of this is happening on autopilot. And when it happens on autopilot, what happens is more of the same. Because there's a groove that's been established. There's a particular habit, a method, a mode of functioning, a mode of expressing, a mode of manifesting that's occurred. And no matter what you do with that, if you indulge it or if you fight with it, either way, you're strengthening it. So what's necessary is to begin to see this all in a different way and to start to realize that right now there is a miracle occurring, and this miracle is endless, and this miracle is magnificent, and it's real, and it's you, and you can't get out of it because it's you. And that it's not, then you might say, well, where is it? I don't see it. But then you start thinking, well, it must be somewhere else, or I might have to try harder, or I have to think about it some more. I may need to study more. I need to read some more books. But it's not about that. It's about this, as I say, this honesty. So this honesty, now let's see if we can catch a glimpse of it. Is just to see the habit, see the expression, see the belief, see the whatever it is that's happening now, 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 now. And notice, see, I'm saying now, now, now. What does this indicate? It indicates that there's no opportunity to do anything with it. You can't process it. You can't understand it. You can't fix it. You can't even judge it, because it's about simply being aware of it. So just notice. Now see if you can just catch a glimpse of this. See if you can just notice what's happening. How can you do that? Well, first of all, it will help to whatever degree possible if you can just relax. So just notice how uptight you are. And I'm in the same boat. I'm just describing the experience. But just notice that. Notice how much tension there is. It's like a steel trap, like you're so ready, so prepared for the fight. But it really helps tremendously to relax. Now, the moment I say that, one of two things will happen, most likely. One is instantly you'll see what's being pointed to, and there'll be a release. And then completely effortlessly, this honesty that I'm talking about is just revealing itself. Okay, so that's a very real possibility. Some of you may have already noticed that. It's like a breath of fresh air, a cloudless blue sky. It's so nice. So the other possibility is that you say, well, now how do I stop that? How do I let go? How do I relax? I don't know how to do that. So just see, and remember that everything in this process is learning. So there's no mistakes. There's nothing that's extraneous. There's nothing that shouldn't be happening. It's all revealing to you exactly the answer. So whatever question arises, the answer is revealed right there. I know that might seem strange, but just see how this is actually the case. So if there's some objection some sense of, I don't know how to do that. I can't do it. It's not working. Then just look to see that exactly, that thing that's happening right there, that objection. Just notice the quality of the experience. Isn't it kind of harsh? Isn't it agitated? Uh, isn't there kind of like an urgency? Aren't you a little bit freaked out, a little bit panicked? That's what that response is. So you see, this is the honesty, is just to see it. You just see it. It doesn't take, you don't have to analyze it. You just see it in your direct experience. You just notice, whoo, yeah. Oh, boy, I feel real uptight. I feel really wound up. Feel ready to lash out. Very irritable, angry. And then you say, well, what do I do about it? Can't, I'm now I see it. It's miserable. What do I do about it? Yes, just see that. See, you're doing it perfectly. Whatever it is that comes up, whatever presents itself, exactly that is what's needed to be seen. Now you say, oh, what do I do with it? Nothing. You're doing what needs to be done. You're seeing. That's the honesty. But how do I get rid of it? How do I do something about it? How do I fix it? This is what we want to know. And I'm saying that's all at a different level. Here at this level, it doesn't apply. Doesn't apply. There's nothing to be done. What needs to be done is being done, but not by you. You're effortlessly seeing it. Isn't that so? The seeing is effortless. The awareness is effortless. Noticing is effortless. Now, just see, just allow yourself to keep watching what happens, because you notice there's this, as I say, there's this resistance, this struggle, this agitation, urgency, irritation, impatience. And all you have to do is just look to see now, just let it reveal itself. Because there's something there that it's so obvious, but we overlook it through effort. But if we just let ourselves see it, it's totally obvious. I'll give you a clue that that what's totally obvious is that all of this agitation is totally unnecessary. Well, that might raise some hackles. What do you mean it's not necessary? You don't know how much misery I'm in. I'm suffering so badly. It's very, very, very necessary. I've been working so hard trying to fix this for so long. You know, screw you for suggesting such a thing. I'm out of here. That's what that part of it says. But look, this is what I'm saying by honesty. That's why I'm saying it's almost unheard of. No, almost nobody knows about this. When you catch it, when you it is like you're catching it. You're just catching it. When you catch it, you know what I mean when I say it. Almost nobody knows about this. And if I say to people, do you know about honesty? Almost everybody will say, oh yeah, I know all about honesty. Nobody knows about it, hardly. Very, very rare. So just when you catch it, you'll see, like, wow, how did I not know this before? How did I not know this is the truth of honesty, the real deal of honesty? Wow. You see, just to see, even though there's this lashing out happening, there's a resistance, there's a frustration, there's a angst. And that's been driving the show. That's been running everything. Every time that it's like this spoiled child, you know, a terribly, terribly spoiled child. And they just they have to get their way with everything. And if they don't, then if there's even maybe a possibility of them not getting their way, they're gonna throw a tantrum. And we say, oh, no, 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 don't do that. I'll whatever you want. How many candies do you want? I'll give you 10. But you just have to just be a little bit patient, just a little tiny bit. See the tantrum is thrown, and then just keep looking. You see, just keep looking. And the more you look in this way, the more you'll notice. Maybe you can feel it already. There's a relaxation a little bit. And then there it is again, you know, it starts firing up again. What do you mean I'm not relaxed? Okay. Just see it. There it is. And then just notice, you know, and what's the problem? That's you know, that's the thing. That's how you if there's any like doing to the honesty, I would say it's just that question. You just ask that question and then just wait. And what's the problem? You're sure there's a problem. I know you're sure there's a problem because I'm sure there's a problem. Everybody's sure there's a problem. Is there ever not a problem? I mean, there's always a problem. It's like, I can't, it's just not okay. It's just, oh, it's just not quite right. What is this? Is it boredom? I guess I'm bored. Oh, no, maybe it's not boredom. Oh, I guess I'm lonely. Oh, no, no, it's not lonely. Maybe I'm angry. Oh, no, no, I guess I don't have enough money. Oh, no, 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 it's because that person didn't approve of me. You know, I mean, just like one thing, one reason to another. But don't you notice it's just at the underlying essence of it is just this, I can't get comfortable. I can't relax. I'm not okay. There's something wrong. So you just want to look and see. So what is the problem? Finally, can't we just look to see what is the actual problem? And and you see this process, it's a learning process, as I said, because you're learning about what? What are you learning? You look for yourself and see what are you learning? And then I'll give you the answer. You're learning about your own conditioning. Yes, there you go. Good answer. I can tell you've been to these meetings before. Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, just learning about my own conditioning and how I've been so scared of my own conditioning, but never questioned it, never looked, never was willing to experience the discomfort. And you see, it doesn't even take that long. Well, it's an eternity, I guess, but it's an eternity and it's timeless and it's, you know, whatever. It's all these things at the same time. But you just notice, you know, anytime there's a problem, anytime, and you can see now that when I say that, when I say anytime there's a problem, maybe your mind does what my mind does, and it says, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a pretty big claim. see if I can come up with some objections. And then it says, well, there's got to be some real problems, some real problems. And then it comes up with them. And you got whatever you think the real problems are, the ones that are the real problems. You say, yeah, 99% of my problems aren't that big of a deal, but there are some that are real, really real. And this is why I say honesty is almost entirely unknown, because we all accept that claim from the mind that there are some really real problems. But this honesty that I'm talking about, it's not something you do like on Sunday or, for New Year's or something like that. This is a endless process. It's the other name for this process is aliveness. To exist. And you might say, well, I already exist. Yes, but not very well, I would say. I mean, far be it from me to tell you about yourself, but you can just tell the truth for yourself. It's not all that great, is it? So this is again just to see the lies, the distortions of the conditioned mind, and how all of those are only to maintain itself. And what is it? Take a look and you'll see. It wants to maintain itself, but what is it? At its foundation, it's miserable. It can't ever get comfortable. It can't ever be okay, ever. Because the instant it's okay, the instant there's that kind of relaxation, it's gone. Isn't it? Take a look. It has to be working hard all the time. It says, well, remember about that thing that happened and watch out for this other thing. And you got to be on guard for that. And you got to make sure that other people don't see you doing this. And, make sure that you do the right thing and make sure that, on and on, constantly hounding you. Can't ever be okay. But the moment that there's an actual relaxation, I mean, true relaxation, where is it? It's gone. Can you see that? It's totally gone. No thought, no past, no future, no worries, no attainments or successes either. Nothing. It's totally gone. So you got to start to be curious. Why on earth should I keep on maintaining, energizing this thing? And this honesty that I'm talking about, this honesty it reveals that conditioning that is uh, the substance out of which this person is created. So as long it's funny, think about think something we place value on, pearls. And say, oh, they're so beautiful. It's created because it's an irritation. The piece of sand gets into the oyster and irritates the oyster. It's so uncomfortable, the oyster starts protecting itself from the irritation by surrounding the piece of sand with this mineral deposits. This is sort of what we do with this person. We've got this person and we say, oh, look at this, it's a pearl. I mean, we don't usually think of ourselves as pearls, but kind of in a different way. Work so hard to maintain it, but it requires this constant dishonesty because the essence of it, the essence of this person, like that grain of sand in the pearl, the essence of the person is this sense that I'm not okay. I can't relax. I can't let go. I can't just be. Not safe. So we keep placing this false value on something that at its very essence is the antithesis of what we actually want. And then you see all of this compulsive thinking, compulsive activity, compulsive fixation is all designed to maintain that, to keep that going. It's like, here's this piece of sand that's irritating me. And then there's this constant compulsion to keep putting layer upon layer on top of it. And then eventually we say, oh, what a nice pearl. Wouldn't want to dissolve this. So beautiful. But this is what we're doing. But unlike the oyster, the oyster, I don't know. I don't know what the oyster's experience is. Maybe the oyster feels a different kind of discomfort with that pearl eventually. I imagine, maybe. I don't know what an oyster's nervous system is like. Probably not very well developed, but I don't know if they can have these kinds of senses. But maybe they start to feel the pressure of this large thing inside of their shell. Maybe that's uncomfortable in a different way. But certainly we experience this discomfort constantly, ongoing, no matter how much we dress it up, no matter how much we pretend. I don't know about elsewhere, but in the United States, we like to say, how are you? Or how's it going? That's how we greet one another. Now, nobody actually really wants an honest answer. It's just like saying hi, but kind of reveals something about how our programming. Very concerned about how am I? How am I? So we're monitoring, how am I? 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 And we're never okay. We're never comfortable, but we've got to keep projecting. If you're having a bad day in the United States and somebody says, how are you? You don't say, oh, so glad you asked. I got to unload. I'm just having a really difficult time. You say, I'm fine. Thanks. So this is what I'm talking about, this honesty. This honesty runs all the way through, but really we have to bring it back to the most subtle, just to start to see, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. My whole sense of myself is based upon not okay. how am I going to fix that? Instead of continuing to build upon a very shaky foundation, we want to use radical honesty to bring it back to the very ground, because this ground is where the real stability is. And then notice, for the first time in a long time, and maybe only just for an instant, but that's something, you can relax. You're okay. But who is this one who's can relax and who's okay? Is it this same person? No, that person is gone. That person is completely gone. The one who's okay is okayness itself. So you see, you have to look prior to this monitoring of, am I okay? What about now? What about now? What about now? Because that's all a system that's based upon this shaky foundation. It's like a security system, monitoring, making sure, am I okay? Am I okay? Am I okay? Make sure no thieves come and do anything to this foundation, shoddy foundation. So we have to get prior to that. We have to come all the way back to the ground. And from here, you just see now this honesty continues because this conditioning is there. Conditioning doesn't apply to me, of course, not to this truth that's glimpsed here, this unconditioned presence that's here. But the tendency to identify as that remains. And so there has to be this ongoing honesty, just watching, seeing, and not indulging this habit of judgment or trying to fix it or trying to hide it or putting some other kind of label on it saying, oh, it's shameful, it's bad, it's wrong, whatever. Because who cares? Oh my goodness, what a relief to finally just be free of all of that. Just who cares? Who cares? I mean, here's something, you got all these hidden deep dark secrets, these hidden deep dark shames and badness and wrongness and everything. Who cares? I mean, first of all, if it's true, it's true. So just finally stop playing the game. Just let it be. And see how actually the playing that game just keeps it stuck so that it's just there. It's like another brick in the foundation, this shoddy foundation that we keep building upon because it's there. And we're through this radical honesty, just seeing, allowing, not doing anything about it. It's just there it is. Okay. What's happening is it's being deconstructed. This whole foundation is being deconstructed, but it may take the rest of this lifetime. However long it takes. It's better here than to continue this compulsion to maintain this shoddy foundation and then keep building on top of it, only to have it topple again and again and again and again. So however long it takes, whether it's for a day or a week or the rest of your life or beyond, this is, again, part of that honesty, is to see this is the only truthful thing. This is the only thing. This is the only stability that exists. This is the only reality that exists. The rest of it is a total fabrication, constant change, up and down, no stability, nothing to really be able, nothing that I can say that I am. And finally, here is rest. And the price for this rest is you just have to be open, watchful, and don't grab hold of anything. That's the cost. It's the price of admission. You can hang out here and rest and rejuvenate for as long as you want. And the only cost is that you just have to be aware and don't grab anything. Because the second you grab it, you're back into the game. And by grab it, I mean you say, oh no, I can't believe it. Oh no, not that. Oh no. Oh, I'm such a terrible person. Oh, I'm so ashamed. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh no. Or I can't believe they did that to me. I can't believe shame on them, bad people, whatever it is. This moment you do that, then you're back into playing the same game. And you'll know it because it's miserable. But here, all this honesty is so effortless and it's so real. It's, when I say it's real, it points you, it directs you to appreciate, to recognize this rest that's here, to recognize the stability. To no longer have to work so hard and defend and figure it all out. Isn't that a relief? You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to succeed. You don't have to fool anybody. So the most important thing, well, it's hard to say the most important thing. One of the most important things. Remember that this has to be experiential. It's not a thinking exercise. So you have to look and see what's being pointed to. That's always the most important thing. The mind will have doubts, but notice that what's being pointed to here is not contradicted by doubts. So doubts are fine. Doubts are, remember, everything that arises in this process of learning is part of the process. So those doubts are also to be witnessed and not grasped. And then you notice that that points you, directs you to this recognition of what's prior to the thinking, prior to this constructed identity that's already here at rest. So it's not about thinking, it's experiential. Nothing can interfere with it. In fact, everything that occurs is part of this learning process that continues this blossoming of self-recognition. But remember, I also said it's kind of like a mindset thing, because you can look at whatever happens in a myriad of ways. And if you just do what you've always done, you'll say, well, but I feel bad, I feel uncomfortable, and therefore that's proof that this thought, this particular thought, is one that I need to really give a lot of attention to. This particular doubt must be a real one because I'm feeling uncomfortable. But if you really trust in this process, then you won't do that. Instead, you'll remember everything that occurs is part of this process, without exception. And so it's all here to be simply witnessed. And in that process of witnessing, it is a blossoming miracle that is pointing me to myself, my unconditioned self, that's here now, stable, peaceful. And then the other important thing is that it is a process, and that the process itself is, we often think, well, when will I get to the end of it? I just want to, want to attain whatever the goal is, and then that must be the good thing, and I just want that, and so let's hurry it up so I can get to that. But actually, this process of learning is, as I've said before, it is also called aliveness. It's called manifestation. It's called creative expression. It's called the divine. So it's, again, a mindset thing. If we continue to indulge that wrong belief and we say, I just got to get to the end of this so that I can get the good thing and then I'll be okay, we're missing out on the real richness of it, because the richness of it is now in the process as it is, not somewhere else, not in the future. And the more that you explore it in an open, curious way, the more that you see the truth of that, the more that you see what is, that it's really, honestly, truly meant when people, and not just me, many people point out, that it's now, that there is nothing to be had in the future, that but they're not joking. It's true. And that is confusing to the conditioned mind, which is entirely designed to fixate on past and future and attainment and acquisition. But if you open yourself to it, see all these pointings, all of the pointings, like it's now, there is no past and future, you are now, all these kinds of pointings. If we just file them away as facts, then we completely miss what they're offering. In order to get the benefit, we need to look at what's being pointed to and see that there's a conflict with what's currently believed. So the way that we're currently believing and currently perceiving is different from what's being pointed to. So we have to say to ourselves, okay, and this again is part of this honesty, is, okay, I act like I know it all, but in reality, I know nothing. I haven't figured anything out. I'm not a great success. I'm a total fraud. I'm unhappy. So the only reason that I'm clinging to my totally wrong notions is to continue to protect and defend this miserable self. So that's stupid. And I refuse to do it any longer. And so, and in actuality, it's not going to hurt me any, just to be open to this possibility of what's being pointed to and to really explore that with curiosity. And so now I will choose to do that. And lo and behold, a new life has begun with the moment you do that. because then you're really accepting this newness. You're really implementing everything that's been pointed to here, which is to be, to question profoundly, but in this very simple, open way, this radical honesty that doesn't require that you have to think about it or do or effort, but rather just to be sincere and open and curious. And then you are willing to allow whatever occurs, including what you consider to be discomfort, and just have a little bit of patience, and keep looking, and you'll see it opens up, and now there's this newness. And then you start to see what's actually being pointed to, and this notion that it's here and now. You don't have to attain anything, that the process is it, that is not some objective attainment in the future. You start to, there's a friction that's generated there, and that friction is the fire of aliveness, and that is that creative explosion. And it works both ways. And if you stay right here on the edge where that friction is, where that creative explosion, where you're aware and present, but you're not defending something false, then you'll see that you're right here on the edge of creation and dissolution. And so all that's false is dissolved here and now, and newness arises. And you'll really start to see, and it doesn't take a long time. I mean, many of you can attest to that because you already are seeing it. But you can notice that, wow, yes, here is total freedom. I'm not what I thought. And that now everything, rather than this old way, this way of misery, it's all about trying to get something and figure something out and turn it into something dead, in which I rejected this aliveness and I called it discomfort. All of a sudden, my eyes are open, and my heart is open. That's important too. And I'm realizing, wow, this is really aliveness. This is a miracle occurring. And I know nothing at all, but I am here on the precipice of the totality. So it's very, very exciting and scary and wonderful all at the same time. So hopefully you've glimpsed this repeatedly through this exploration today. And I'll end this formal portion now, and then for those who are here live, we can stay on for the Q&A.